Join me in learning Chitas for today, the Chumash for Tuesday, chapter 45, verse 8. Yesterday we learned as Yosef identifies himself to his brothers. They are hesitant at first and embarrassed and bewildered of what's going on. He lets them know that this was all God ordained and preordained by God, that he should be here to be able to help them survive through the years of hunger. Today we continue with Yosef instructing his brothers what they should do now that they know that he is the viceroy of Egypt. Verse 8. And now you have to remember, you're not the one that sent me here. It is God that made that I should be here. And he made me the Pharaoh's counselor and the Lord over all his household, and the ruler over all of Egypt. What does it mean, la'av? So Rashi explains, doesn't mean literally for a father. L'chaver u'lepertrein, as a friend and the one that's in charge and responsible of over anything in his household. Verse 9. Maharu, now that already this moment is past, and we already know who I am, and the end of this saga should come to a quick end, so quickly, va'alu alavi, go up to Father, our Father, v'amartem alav, and you will tell him, Koyamar bincha Yosef, so said your son Yosef, Samani alikim la'odain l'chol Mitzrayim, God has made me for a master of all of Egypt. Reda ilai, come down to me, al ta'amoid, do not tarry. The alu alavi, what does it mean to go up to my father? Rashi explains, because Eretz Yisrael gavoya mikol ha'aratzos, because the land of Israel is higher than all the other lands, so coming from Egypt, you need to go up. Why does he put the two together? The fact that God made him the master of all of Egypt, therefore his father has to come down. And the Rebbe explains, because Yosef understood that there had to be an exile of Egypt. And the first stage of that exile began by Yosef coming down to Egypt. And he tells his father, now we are ready for the second stage to happen, for the fact of the Jewish people coming down to Egypt, but coming down with honor, respect, and dignity. Verse 10. V'yashafta beretz Goshen, and you will settle in the land of Goshen. V'yisakar v'layim, you will be close to me. Ata, you v'necha, and your children, v'nei v'necha, and your grandchildren, v'tzeincha, and your cattle, your flock, v'korcha, and your cattle, v'chol asher lach, and everything you own. Verse 11. V'chilkalti yischa, and I will provide for you sham there ki oit chamishanim rav, because there's another 5 years of famine that are still coming. Pentivarish ata uveischa v'chol asher lach, so that you should not become impoverished. Not only not you, not your household, or anything that belongs to you. What does the word tivaresh mean? Rashi explains in verse 11, Dilma, like the Targum says, Dilma the dismaskein, maybe this will cause you to become impoverished because of the famine. It comes from the word L'shoin moirish u'maisher, that God decides who will be poor and Maisher, who will become rich. So you see the word of here, tivarish, is the same root word of becoming impoverished. Verse 12. V'hine enechem royes, and behold, your eyes can see. V'einei achi Binyamin, and the eyes of your brother Binyamin. Ki pia bedaber aleichem, that you'll see it's the mouth that you see speaking to you. It is me, Yosef, who is really talking to you. V'hine enechem royes, what does this mean? Rashi explains, they all see. That means you all see b'chvaydi. You see the great honor that I have. V'shani achichem, I am your brother. Shani molkachem, I am circumcised like you. V'oid kipiyam medaber aleichem b'lashon hakodesh. You notice now I'm talking to you in the Hebrew tongue. Before, when you came, I had a translator. It was all a show as if I didn't understand. But now I'm talking to you in your language. Who else would know Hebrew if not your brother? V'eini achi Binyamin, the eyes of your brother Binyamin. Meaning, he compared all of them, all the 12 brothers together, all 11 brothers the same. Leimar saying, the same way I don't have any hatred or animosity towards my brother Binyamin. He did not participate in selling me down to Egypt. So too, I have no hatred or animosity against you, even though you were the ones that sold me and he did not. But the same way, we're all equal. The same way I don't have anything against Binyamin, I don't have anything against all of you. It is God that made that we should all be here. Verse 13. V'yigadatem lavi, and you will tell. So you must tell your father, our father, about all my honor b'Mitzrayim, the great honor that has been accorded to me here in Egypt. V'eskol asher yisim, and everything you've seen. Umihartem, and you should hurry up. V'yiradatem esa'avi heina, and therefore bring my father down here. Verse 14. Vayipel al tzavri Binyamin achiv, and he fell, with that he fell on his brother Binyamin's neck. Vayefk, and he cried. Ubinyamin bachal tzavarav, and Binyamin wept on his brother's neck, Yosef, as well. Rashi explains what were they really weeping about? Something later on that each one of them saw with divine presence. Vayipel al tzavare Binyamin achiv. So Rashi explains what were they crying? Al shnei mikdashes, on the two holy temples, Shasid and Lias Bechelkish Binyamin, that were going to be in the territory that was being allotted to the tribe of Benjamin. The Seif el-Charev, and unfortunately will be destroyed as well. So why did Binyamin cry on Yosef's neck? Binyamin bachal tzavarav al Mishkan Shiloh, for the Mishkan, the tabernacle that was in Shiloh. Sha'asad Lias Bechelka Shal Yosef, that was going to be in the area and the plot of land of Yosef. The Seif el-Charev, and will also eventually be destroyed. Vayinashik l'chalechav, and he then kissed all his brothers. Vayefk aleim, and wept on their necks as well. And afterwards his brothers, when they reconciled, they started having a conversation with him, they conversed with him as well. Verse 15, they saw that he was crying, and they understood that he really loves them, that his heart is complete with them, and he has no hatred or hate towards them. At first they were embarrassed. They were afraid to speak to him. But once they saw that everybody was getting along and that he had no hatred towards them, he was beginning to speak. They spoke to each other and had a nice conversation. Word of their arrival reached Pharaoh's palace. Lamer saying, Bo Achi Yosef, the brothers of Yosef came, and Pharaoh and his courtiers were pleased with that as well. Vakul Nishma Beis Pari, as we mentioned earlier, it doesn't mean the house of Pari. K'moi Beis Pari, it's a Loshim Bayis Mamish. It doesn't mean actual home, but it means the family of Pharaoh, the household of Pharaoh. They found out. With that, Pharaoh tells Yosef, Vayomer Pari el Yosef, and Pari tells Yosef, Emer lechacha, tell your brothers, Eisasu, this is what you should do. Tanu es bi'irchem, load your animals. Uluchu vayu to Canaan, and go directly to the land of Canaan. Verse 17, Tanus be'irchem, meaning the tfua, load it up with lots of grain that you should bring it home with you. Verse 18, Ukhu es avichem, and therefore bring your father, ve'es batechem, and all your household, uboyu elai, and come to me, ve'etna lachem es tuveretz Mitzrayim, and I will give you the choicest part of the land of Egypt. Ve'ichlu es chelav ha'aretz, and you'll be able to eat off the fat of the land. Rashi, verse 18, Es tuv eretz Mitzrayim, Eretz Goshen, I'm going to give you the choicest land, which is the land of Goshen. Niba, over here, Pharaoh prophesied, Ve'eni yadei Niba, and didn't realize he was even prophesying. Soifam la soisam b'mtzula she'em badagim. Because what's going to happen is that the Jewish people are going to take the choicest part of the land of Israel, and eventually also take everything that the land of Israel has and make it like a net that has no fish, meaning they're going to empty it out of everything that's there. Chelav ha'aretz, the fat of the land. Kol chelav, every time it means fat. Lashem means the best part of it as well. Verse 19. Ve'ata tzuvesa. Moreover, he tells them, you should thereby command. Zeisasu, this is what you should do. K'chulachem eretz Mitzrayim, take for yourselves from wagons from the land of Egypt. Me'agolis, wagons l'tapchem, for the children, l'sheichem, for the wives, u'nesasem es avicham mabasem, and you should bring your father and come down to Egypt. Ta'ata tzuvesa, what he says over here is, Pharaoh tells Yosef, I am telling to you, mipi loimer lahem, tell them in my name that you should continue to tell your brothers the following things. Zeisasu, kachamer lahem, tell them, shibershusihu. Don't you worry, if Pharaoh's not going to get angry, this is Pharaoh's command. Pharaoh wants that you should do this as well. Verse 20. Ve'einchem al tochis al kalechem. Do not give a thought of your belongings. Ki tuv kol haaretz Mitzrayim elochem hu. For the best of all of Egypt will be at your disposal. Verse 21, Vayasuchem b'nei Yisrael, and the Jewish people, the children of Israel, did as Pharaoh said. Vayitan lam Yosef hagolis, and Yosef gave them wagons. Al pi pari, according to what Pharaoh has said, according to his instructions. Vayitan lam tzedel laderech, and he gave them provisions for the journey. Verse 22, L'kulam nasan le'ish chalifes smolis, and to each of them he gave a set of clothing. U'lebinyamin, and to Binyamin nasan shloish me'is kesef, he gave him 300 pieces of silver. The chamesh chalifes smolis, and 5 sets of clothing. Verse 23, U'l'aviv shalach kazais, and then to his father he sent as such. Asar chamoirim, he sent them first of all 10 donkeys, Noisim etuv Mitzrayim, carrying from the finest of Egypt's delicacies. The Eser Asainis, and 10 female donkeys, Noises that were carrying full of bar v'lechem, grain and bread, Mozain and food, La'aviv for his father, Ladarech for the journey to Egypt. Rashi, Shalach kazais, Kacheshbon, according to this account. Umao Acheshbon, what's the account? As the Torah enumerates the 10 donkeys, the 10 female donkeys, and so on. Bituv Mitzrayim, from the best of Egypt, Matzina beGemara. We find that the Talmud tells us, Sheshalach loy yain yashin shedas keinem noichei menu. He sent his father old wine, because old wine helps the same way. The older the wine is, the better it gets. The same thing is also by the elderly people, they like the older wine. Umedrash Agada, the commentaries explain that what did he send? What is the Tuv Mitzrayim? Grisim shel pul. That what he sent them was a type of delicacy of peas or chickpeas, split beans that he sent them as well. Bar v'lechem. Over here, commentaries explain why did he send split beans? That the same way split beans can only be eaten when they are separated. Yosef was saying that the reason why he was separated, he was telling his father that the reason why he was separated was only for a good cause, that ultimately they should be able to come down to Egypt. Umazain, food, liftan, which things to go with the food, the bread, when he's journeying with them, that gives the bread an extra flavor. Vayeshalach hazechov, and he sent his brothers on their way. Vayelechu, when they went, Vayomer aleim, and he told them, Al tirgu zu bazerech, do not quarrel along the way, saying whose fault it may be. Rashi, verse 24, Al tirgu zu baderech, keloimar, al tirgu zu baderech, meaning, Al tisasku b'davar halacha, don't get so deep into halachic analysis, and thereby making your way long when to get home. So the way home shouldn't become difficult for you and long, and making it a long road home. Davar acher, another explanation. Al tafsiu psiagasa. When you go, don't take big steps, take small steps. Go slowly. V'yikansu b'chamal, and go into the city when the sun is still shining. According to the simple interpretation, one can explain that this is what it means. And being that they were embarrassed of what they did to Yosef, he was worried. On their way home, they're going to start arguing whose fault it is the very fact that he was sold and today he's king. And now to argue with one another, and saying, Al Yod Chanim Kar, it is your fault, and whose fault it should be. To see part of Lashon your love. You're the one that said gossip about him. Saying, cause us to hate him. And it's all your fault. Really, we shouldn't have done it. And he says, therefore, don't bicker about it and just go home and bring dad back. Verse 25. Vayalu miMitzrayim, and they went up from Egypt. Vayivayu eretz Canaan, and they came to the land of Canaan. El Yaakov Aviem, to Yaakov their father. Verse 26. Vayagidulei, and they told Yaakov Leimer, saying, Od Yosef Chai, Yosef still alive. V'chi hu moishel b'chol eretz Mitzrayim, and that he is the ruler of all of Egypt. Vayofag libay, but he ignored them. Because he did not believe them. Verse 26. V'chi hu moshel, v'asher hu moshel, and that he is the ruler of all of Egypt. Vayafag libay, he ignored them. What does it mean he ignored them? Nechlav libay, his feelings changed, like he wasn't sure if he can believe his children. Halach melahamin, he stopped believing his kids. Libay feina ladvarim, he was not, his heart was not ready to listen to what his children had to say. L'shein mafigim taman, like things that you say, you ruin the taste in something. B'lashna mishnah. When you say you can't taste it, you can't smell it, uses the terminology of pug, which is over here vayafag. Vayedabru elav, and they spoke to him, they told him. It's called divrei Yosef, all the words Yosef told him. Asher diber aleim, that he said to them, vayaras agolis, and then he saw the wagons. Asher sholach Yosef, that Yosef sent Lasis, I say, to transport him, to bring him back to Egypt. Vatchi ruach Yaakov aviem, and the spirit of Yaakov came alive in him. Rashi says, what does this mean? Why all of a sudden when he saw the wagons, did he believe them? What does it mean that his spirit came back to him? So Rashi explains as follows. It's called divrei Yosef, all the words of Yosef. In order that Yaakov should believe what Yosef told the brothers, Siman Masarlam, he gave his brothers a sign. He said, remind Dad of what we were learning. When I left him. The Parashas Eglah Arufa, we were learning the Parasha of Eglah Arufa. So therefore the word Agalo, its wagons, can also remind you of Eglah, which is about a calf that has to be killed when the person is found dead between two cities. This is what he says, Vayaris Agolis, and he saw the wagons of Shesholach Yosef that Yosef sent, meaning that he understood what was going on here. That Pharaoh sent, even though Pharaoh was the one that told the brothers to take it. But he says that Yosef sent, meaning that Yosef explained that what they were learning in the last subject that they discussed. But the Ruach Yaakov, and what does it mean? The spirit of Yaakov was alive. Sharsal of Shechina Shapir Shemimenu. The divine presence came back to him. That during the time of mourning, he was not merited, did not have the Ruach HaKodesh, the divine presence on him. The question that the commentaries ask, why is it that all of a sudden he saw the wagons and that brought him back to understanding and recognizing that Yosef was alive? Just because he remembered what he learned, that taught him that Yosef was alive. But in fact, what the Chassidus explains, that Yaakov was concerned, that the brothers tell him that Yosef was in Egypt. He understood Egypt as the most immoral place of the world. He had no idea what was Yosef like in Egypt. Did he assimilate with the people that were there? But when he saw the wagons, and Yosef reminded him the last thing he learned, he recognized that Yosef was still committed to his faith and his belief in Judaism and to the study of Torah. Then the spirit of Yaakov came back to him. He recognized through Yosef's righteousness that notwithstanding the impurity of Egypt, Yosef stayed true and just to his commitment to Yiddishkeit. This concludes the third Torah reading for Parashas Vayigash.